Cool. Cool. So the missing 1% is this week's call. So actually, first of all, I just want to say off the bat, that moving forward with the Zoom calls and stuff, what we're going to be doing is creating kind of like an education or a learning platform that people can go back to and actually watch through these things as like a purposeful task. Like what we go over today is actually just going to be like a start off or a kickstart or an overview to actually what loads of other little courses and stuff will look like in the future. So the missing 1%, what we're going to do today is like you always hear about, the missing 1% or doing the 1%, it makes a big difference. But what does that actually look like? And I think that's the key thing that we're going to go on to today. So we'll cover training, we'll cover nutrition, we'll cover mindset, we'll cover recovery, and all these little things. And then in the future to come, we'll break down all those little things and do like separate little topics inside of that. So yeah, this is kind of like the overview for one of the courses. So welcome. This is everyone that's in the coaching group. This will be uploaded as a podcast and obviously on YouTube as well. So if you're external, come in and join the journey, but not everything will be posted and shared publicly. Just the overview, because I think it's still useful to everyone outside the program. And if you're in the program, listen up because some of this is going to be important. So let's start with a story. And I'm going to start with a story. So 2 weeks ago, I went to like a convention and a talk, and it was all about mindset, self-sabotage, loads of different things. Anyways, what was really interested in that talk and what I came away from, you sit in talks for like 8 hours and then you come away with one thing. It's crazy. Anyways, so what the guy was saying, it was when we talk about 1%, we always like, the 1% makes a difference, or flip side that you go, oh, it's only 1%, it doesn't matter. So where I'm sitting here and I'm going, oh, 1% does matter, share your wins, the little bits of steps or the drinking water, it all counts. And then someone might be sitting there and just going, oh, yeah, but what's that extra glass of water going to do? Or what's those extra 5,000 steps going to do? What's that 10-minute walk going to do towards my weight loss journey? That doesn't matter. I'll catch up with it tomorrow. So the story is a flight to London to LA. So you we're all in London. We're going to catch a plane and we're going to LA. The distance to LA would be 5,400 miles. And a 1% change or off course of that is 54.4 miles. Okay. So if you were to say, oh, okay, the 1% doesn't matter, that 10-minute walk is not going to matter towards my goals. That's actually the difference between the flight landing or taking off in London to versus Brighton. So actually, and imagine on the flip side, you go to LA, you're having a good time, you're like, right, it's time to go home. You're supposed to be flying back to London, you're on time, you're ready for your dinner, ready for work the next day. What actually happens is you land in Brighton. And that's the thing, is like, how pissed would you be? How angry would you be? You'd be blaming the pilot, you'd be blaming the airline, you'd want refunds for the tickets. But actually, it was just the 1%, right? And although you might go, oh, well, that's a bit of an extreme measure, the percentage stays the same and it is still 1%. So actually, when you put things into perspective, these things do matter. And yeah, sometimes life kicks in. Sometimes things can't be achieved. But what we're on about is actually, the overhaul of 365 days a year versus just maybe like one bad day. And in that instance, the 1% can be achieved. Because going back, you'd be pretty pissed if you're off course. And although it's 1%, although it only seems like 1%, one's a small number, whatever, you can move on. It actually makes a big difference in the long run. So what will go on? So what it is like, what about you? So what's your 1%? What does that 1% look like? How does that tie in? You might go, Sean, shut up about the planes. I don't care. Okay, so let's put it into perspective. So what about you when it comes to training? Things like focusing on form, time under tension, actually feeling your muscles working, rather than just hitting the reps or just doing the movement. I always used to do like these 100 push-up challenges a day and stuff like that. By the time I got to the 10th day, I was like, this is actually just not helpful for my muscles. I'm just trying to push my weight. I'm not actually focusing on form. I'm not engaging my chest. I wasn't actually seeing that much progress in my chest because I was just doing it for the sake of doing it rather than focusing on it. When it comes to training, are you warming up? Are you focusing on mobility? Um, because again, it's the 1%. You might have a stiff back, your arm might hurt, your legs might hurt. But what have you done to then recover? Or what have you done to warm the legs up? Especially when it comes to warm-ups and injury, I always say about the cheese. Training and not having warmed up is like a hard block of cheese. When you train and when we warm up, the cheese melts and it becomes more stretchy. And our muscles are the exact same. So, you get a hard block of cheese, it's going to snap. The muscles are the same thing. You need to focus on your warm ups. You need to, loosen up those muscles, get them ready for working out rather than just going straight in and smashing the weights. And you're going to end up smashing something else. And then you're not going to be training for ages. So actually, that 1% change could then have an impact and knock on for like, 70%, wipe you out for a few weeks. Then when we go on to things like nutrition, are you having enough water? Are you eating your protein? Are you hitting your protein goal? Mindful eating. So actually thinking and sitting, okay, do I actually need this? Or is my body going to benefit from this? Is it going to be useful? Rather than just going into a shop, seeing nice colors, being engaged by marketing, going, oh my God, it's only 50p. Oh, it's only 1%. It doesn't matter. It's just a small little treat for Friday. What impact is that then going to have on your goals and, your journey? There's no point doing all of the hard work, doing all the 99% of the work, but then the 1% just to let you down and actually in the big picture have a big impact. So things like water, staying hydrated, impact on cognitive function, recovery, protein, recovery. Are you doing these things? Because actually, what happens is that, and again, I'm trying to go back and really focus on the point of the 1%. You might go, oh, it doesn't matter, or it's only a small little thing. But again, like in the big picture, all those small things add up. When we talk about recovery, your sleep quality, you might go, oh, I slept for, 6 hours, but then you had caffeine, 4 hours before your sleep. Although you're sleeping, the actual sleep quality was poor. And without being in a deep sleep, you're not recovering. You, the reason you're probably failing to lose weight is because your sleep quality is poor. You're not able to actually recover. The body is stressed. It's not actually turned off. Things like stretching, walking. We already talked about stretching and warming up, but walking, actually mindful tasks and activities so you can actually just zone out. Rest days. So many people are hitting the gym 6, 7 days a week. You're training twice a day, but you're not recovering. You can see athletes doing that, and that's, they're athletes and they're great and they're wonderful, but they've also got recovery. They've probably got a team in place that are actually looking after their recovery and making sure they're getting the right nutrition. You know, for most of us, most of the crew, we're working. Some of us have families. If you're trying to do all of this, your body's not recovering. You're going to be completely wiped out. And that 1% is rather than going to land you in London, you're going to be landing in Brighton. And I think that's the big picture here. So you really need to focus on things like rest days, your sleep quality, because that is the 1% and that is the difference. Mindset, rather than telling yourself you can't do something or, I've tried losing weight before, I can't do it, or oh, it's just because of I don't know, what can we say? Like it just doesn't work for me. Or we're actually just changing those same words and just going, it hasn't worked for me in the past, but I'm willing to go again. Positive affirmations. I am great. I'm gonna have a great day. This is gonna be a great week. Rather than going, oh, it's cold, it's gonna be a horrible week. Because that has an impact. Our mindset is everything. And in some of the other talks as well that I'm going to do is actually the power of mindset and weight loss. The way that we perceive ourselves actually has a massive impact on the way that we store fat, the way that we burn energy. Our mindset is so, so powerful when it comes to this. And actually, just by starting with positive affirmations in the day, it's going to make a big, big difference. Visualizing success and actually thinking about where you want to be. So for a lot of us, we struggle to think about the, next week, 2 weeks down the line. But even if just on the day you go, okay, cool, maybe I failed on that, 100 kg deadlift before, but actually I'm going to go into the gym, I'm going to go down, I'm going to lift it up, and that's it. Before I do like a 1 rep max, I think in my head, I say to myself, 6 reps, 6 reps, 6 reps. And I just go down and I do it. And I'm like, oh shit, I just done 6 reps. That's crazy. Obviously, it doesn't always work like that. We don't live in this fantasy world where we're like all cartoon characters and we've got this thing in our head and it all works. But again, it's 1%. And actually, by telling yourself you can't do it, you're probably not going to. Like one of my favorite quotes is, can or can't, you're probably right either way. Or the person, yeah, you can or can't, you're probably right. Um, and then tough days as well. Like, what are you doing on your tough days? Got the light turned off. So, what are you doing on the tough days? Are you showing up? Are you doing the hard work? Or are you avoiding doing anything? You might feel like crap. And actually, I was having this conversation with one of my clients the other day is actually when you feel like crap and when you feel like not doing it, actually by turning up, it was a hard conversation. We got the person there, and actually by after they actually got out and got moving, they felt better. And that's the thing is that it's so easy to fall in this mindset of like, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't want to do it. I want to stay away, hide under the covers, whatever. But actually, just by getting out of your comfort zone and doing it, you actually feel a lot better, anyways. Sometimes, especially when it comes to the tough days, it's a compound interest of tough. And then by the end of the week, you've completely fallen off board and you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. But actually, by going, okay, cool, positive affirmations, I'm going to visualize success for the week. That tough day, that tough week, that tough month is actually going to be absolutely amazing because I changed my mindset. And again, we'll go more into mindset in other talks. And then habits. So, we all love the whole thing of failing to prepare is preparing to fail, blah, blah, blah. But actually, just by simply prepping and visualizing, it actually ties in with the visualization is, you know, if you have to get up early the next morning to get your workout in or your run in, you know, where's where's what you're gonna wear? Your shorts or your underwear or your top. Where is it? Is it in the drawer? Okay, that's an extra task that you have to do in the morning. Why didn't you get that out the night before? What's your food? What are you going to eat after your workout? Do you have enough water? I haven't had my water bottle for the past week. I'll put my hands up. I haven't had my water bottle for the past week. My water consumption has capitulated because I haven't prepped and because I was just like, oh yeah, whatever, like it's fine. There's water fountains around or whatever. But actually, just by not having that water bottle, there's a game changer. Like I can feel the difference, like the cognitive function. I feel drowsy. So actually, that prep is so key. And again, it's just a 1% change. Who would think not having a water bottle would have such an impact on my week? Tracking progress. And I think this is a crazy one. And if you've made it this far, well done. But seriously, tracking progress, like, I'll call you out. Some of you in the program, you're questioning progress, you're questioning the process, you're questioning about where you are. You might not have hit a target that you want, but you haven't tracked your workouts. You haven't weighed yourself. You haven't, tracked your food. And there's obviously that's a broad context. Everyone's got their different things and tasks that they need to do. But actually, just by doing the things that you were told to do or communicated, obviously, some people have different arrangements. But actually, just by tracking your workout and then you're sitting there going, I wonder why I haven't hit my goal. Well, actually, it's because of all these 1%. And if you haven't tracked, you probably haven't done any of the other bits either. And then accountability as well is, have you held yourself accountable? Some of you, some of you in the program are great. So again, as I said, everyone has different arrangements and stuff. So some of you will send me a photo of your food every day. Some of you will message me a screenshot of your workouts. Some of you will message me and say, I'm really struggling. So it's actually a lot of you have accountability, and it's like, are you going to use that accountability or are you going to hide away from it? Because actually, either way, it's a 1% change. You don't have to answer to yourself because you're already looking for comfort. So it doesn't really matter. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. But actually, by holding yourself accountable, you're then going to push yourself and go that extra mile because it's actually just so much easier just to rely on yourself and be like, oh, okay, I've decided I'm the manager of myself today, and I said that I can have a day off, whatever. So the tracking the progress is a little bit of a crazy one for me because it's so key. But obviously everything else around that as well. Um, so yeah, then just as a summary, it's that London to LA. So thinking about the 1%, thinking about, is it's only, it's only a bottle of water. It's it's only tracking a workout. That doesn't matter. It's only, you know, it's only a set of just trying to push weight. Oh, I'm trying to hit my personal best. But you haven't actually focused and spent time thinking about it. Oh, I haven't stretched. There's no point. It's going to take 5 minutes of my day. That 1% is actually the difference of you succeeding in the program and actually getting your money's worth of results and actually not getting that and, completely wasting your time. And I think that's the key thing here is that if you're going to sign up to a program, if you want a particular result in a particular time frame, if you do the things that are set to you, you'll see that success. And I've always promised that if you didn't notice any change, I'll give you your money back because the 1% that are there and kind of like the blueprint that's set out is the difference. Because without that accountability, without that roadmap, without that blueprint, there is no, it's just that accountability to yourself and your manager to yourself, and you're like, oh yeah, whatever. It doesn't it doesn't matter. So actually, on reflection, it's the London to LA. Do you want to land in London, get home on time, get ready for work the next day, or do you want to land in Brighton, have to think about getting home, trains delayed, not having dinner, having to call work, say, oh, can't get in. Think about that in terms of your goals and how much extra work that's going to have to be when you could have just stayed on track and done the simple tasks. So again, I know a lot of the time we talk about 1%. Hopefully that's kind of given you a little bit of perspective, maybe like a little, oh, I didn't think about that for training. I didn't know that would be a 1%. Hopefully that's given you some sort of perspective. If we go through habits, the prep, the tracking, the visualizing, positive affirmation, sleep quality, water, protein, hitting reps, focusing on form, turning from an angry face to actually someone who's able to make the progress that they want. And I think that's the missing 1%, and that's what we'll focus on and we'll break down for the next few courses. So hopefully that's helped. Hope that's given some perspective. Hopefully there's some self-reflection there to do. And yeah, let's actually start to hit the 1%, because that's the difference between you hitting your targets and not. Thanks for listening.